Welcome back. Fishermen at a Tunisian port prevented a ship carrying far-right anti-immigration activists from docking, dealing a fresh blow to a controversial mission aimed at disrupting the flow of migrant boats from North Africa to Europe.
A far-right activist group's mission to disrupt the flow of migrant boats across the Mediterranean hit another snag. Tunisian fishermen blocked its charter, the Sea Star, from docking at the southeastern port of Zazes. The France-based Generation Identity accuses NGO rescue ships of colluding with people smuggling operations out of Libya. But humanitarian groups say that the group's attempt to turn migrant boats back to Libya is a dangerous publicity stunt. The Sea Star briefly tailed a vessel operated by a French NGO that was running search and rescue operations in an area notorious for migrant boat sinkings. Anticipating the blockade, the Sea Star reportedly sailed north up the Tunisian coast, where it is expected to attempt to refuel at another Tunisian port. The weekend's blockade is the latest challenge to GI's Defend Europe mission. The boat was held up for a week in the Zoo Canal. The Sea Star crew says their main goal is to expose collaboration between NGO rescue ships and the traffickers who launch boats from Libya packed with migrants. Since the start of 2014, some 600,000 people from Africa, the Middle East and South Asia have been rescued from traffickers' boats and taken to Italy.
Over 180 migrants managed to breach the border fence that separates Morocco from Spain. The migrants managed to cross the official checkpoint in the region of Ceuta. Although official figures are yet to be made available by the Immigration Office, it is estimated that around 200 people formed part of the group that managed to enter Spain's North African enclave.
More than 180 migrants celebrate following a successful border crossing between Morocco and the Spanish territory of Ceuta. The migrants from sub-Saharan Africa sprinted over the border from the Moroccan side in the dark. Border guards were deployed along the fence after warnings were issued that a mass breach attempt could take place. Once on Spanish soil, the migrants raised their hands in triumph. Ceuta and Melilla, another Spanish territory on Morocco's northern border, have the EU's only land borders with Africa. As a result, they are the entry ports for migrants desperate to get into Europe and who are regularly trying to climb the higher border fences, swim along the coast or hide in vehicles crossing the frontier. A police spokesman, however, said this type of border crossing attempt, sprinting through manned posts, was very rare. The migrants who reached Ceuta were eventually rounded up and taken to a reception center where they now will apply for an asylum in Spain. Ceuta is ringed by a double-wire fence 8 kilometers long. The 6-meter-high fence also has rows of barbed wire. In the past week, about 200 migrants stormed the high border fence, with 73 managing to get through using wire cutters and mallets. Bureau Report, ANN7.
The United Nations Refugee Agency in Niger is helping HIV-infected migrants by providing with shelter and life-saving drugs. Niger is home to more than 160,000 refugees, most of them from neighboring Mali and Nigeria.
Palais and Moke Ikane met 16 years ago as refugees at a UN Refugee Agency office in Cameroon. Along with their 2 daughters, the couple now struggles to survive in one of Africa's poorest countries while living with HIV.
Merci.
Thank God I saw her at the UNHCR office. She looked so sad, and I asked her why, and she told me everything about her life. I said, look at me. That's just the way it is. I like you. And from then on, we stayed together.
Niger is hosting more than 160,000 refugees within its largely desert territory. Most of them have fled violence in neighboring Mali and Nigeria and now live in areas near the borders of those countries. In the capital Niamey, a much smaller group of West and Central African refugees live among the local population. Palais fled her home in the Central African Republic.
My first husband was captain of the military police. He was killed in front of our house because of it. My little sister and I, when I think about it, it all comes back. They raped my sister and me.
Moke Ikiane was the chauffeur of a powerful politician in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. When their car was ambushed, he escaped. The couple first moved from Cameroon to Nigeria and finally settled in Niger. Here, their family have access to UNHCR's Center for Urban Refugees and also to the life-saving drugs at the public hospital. Niger offers free treatment for those living with HIV and AIDS. The treatment is a lifeline for their daughters and holds out hope that they may also survive to see a cure for the condition. Though as refugees they have the right to work in Niger, many say that employment is hard to find in such a poor country and long for the stability and safety that would allow them to finally go home.
We pray to God that peace will come to our country and that we can go home again. It takes so long, but we want to live with dignity. We don't live with dignity.
Niger ranks second to last at 187th out of 188 spots on the UNDP Human Development Index. 46% of the population lives on less than $2 per day. Bureau Report, ANN7.
Sudan cancer doctors eye United States sanctions relief for patients. The sanctions have been a huge obstacle in hampering efforts to cancer deaths in Sudan.
Cancer patients bear the brunt of U.S. sanctions against Khartoum. Cancer is a shock in any country, but in Sudan, where access to drugs and treatment is impaired by 20-year-old U.S. sanctions, it can be more life-threatening. The situation is worse at the Khartoum Breast Care Center, the only specialized facility in Sudan to treat breast cancer. The clinic's mammography machine has been broken for weeks.
بتواجهنا مشكلة لما يكون الفحص السنوي والماموغرام متعطل.
When we come for annual checkups, we find the machine broken. It's a problem. I'm worried because the cancer might have spread to my other breast.
الحاجة دي حتصير لي في الثدي الثاني كده دي الحاجة كان بتأرق الواحد.
Technicians have to come from Egypt or Kenya to fix the mammography machine, but the process has been a nightmare due to U.S. sanctions imposed on Khartoum.
بسبب كثير من الإشكاليات الدبلوماسية.
Because of diplomatic issues, we are facing problems in getting new technologies and repairing the machines, as most technicians and spare parts have to be brought from Europe and America. I believe it is patients who have suffered the most from the economic and diplomatic sanctions.
تأتي من أوروبا والولايات المتحدة.
When we have the proper lifting of the sanction, so it will have hopefully an agent with technicians and proper facilities. So if anything goes wrong, you just call them, the engineer will come and they will have spare part locally and it will take much less.
Washington imposed sanctions on Khartoum in 1997 for its alleged support of Islamist militant groups. Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden lived in Khartoum between 1992 and 1996. Over the years, successive U.S. administrations have tightened the sanctions, accusing Khartoum of human rights violations. Life-saving drugs and medical equipment supplied to Sudan are theoretically exempt from Washington's complex set of trade embargoes. But restrictions on the banking transactions, exchange of technology and spare parts, and other cumbersome trade regulations have hampered the treatment of patients. Bureau Report, ANN7.
The UN mission in Mali is investigating mass graves found along with a slew of human rights abusers in the region of Kidal in northern Mali. The mission has so far investigated 34 cases of human rights violation in the area, including forced disappearances of minors.
The United Nations uncovers mass graves in Mali's conflict-torn Kidal region. Fighting between rebel groups intensified in recent weeks, threatening to derail a 2015 peace agreement. The United Nations has deployed a team to investigate the mass graves and cases of human rights violation.
We have established a fact-finding mission due to the fact that we received 67 allegations of serious abuses, and then the mission, the fact-finding mission conducted at least 7 field missions in Anefis, Takalot, Amasin, and then also we did with our 2 field officers from Menaka and Gao. Also, we conduct additional investigations. So, as a result of this exercise, we confirmed that 34 serious human rights abuses have been committed by the signatories party to the agreement.
The UN has evidence of some 34 were verified cases of enforced disappearances of individuals, as well as cases of property destruction and robbery. Among those abducted are minors. The investigation team were also able to observe on the ground the existence of individual tombs and mass graves. But they are unable to establish at this stage either the number of people buried or the circumstances of their deaths.
We concluded that there have been 2 individuals' graves found in addition to 2 mass graves. The challenge that we have is to determine, the way that those people have been executed or killed. We don't know how many bodies are in those mass graves and the individual graves, and then also who are to be responsible.
According to a preliminary investigation, the abuses have taken place since fighting resumed in June. Both groups implicated in the violence signed a 2015 peace deal with the Malian government, an accord that was supported by the international community. Bureau Report, ANN 7.
And that's all the news making headlines across the African continent for this week. From Milisego Mokonane and the rest of the Africa at a Glance team, Salani Gahle and Happy Women's Month. Watinta Bafazi, Watinta Mbogodo. Bye-bye.